Hello, my name is Tom Burgess. I'm the Director of Residence Life and Student Conduct here at Lewis University. I'm going to take a few minutes and talk to you about my department in Res Life and student conduct and community standards here on campus. In the Office of Residence Life, our core values overall is to provide a safe environment in the residence hall so our students can thrive. We establish an inclusive community, provide opportunities for residents to collaborate with other departments, and then connect with academic experiences that happen at both inside and outside the classroom. The Residence Life staff is made up of three professional staff members: the director, myself, the assistant director, Molly, who we have a coordinator of operations, and then we have 4 Residence Life coordinators who are graduate students that live within the residence halls. We have 30 resident assistants that also live within the halls and are here to connect with our students and provide that enriched experience. They all go through extensive training, and many have been here since August 1st. Not to mention several are returners from last year, and we have online training through several different national programs that will help enrich their environment. Not everyone understands what an RA is. And so those resident assistants, they're trained peer leaders. So being able to have that one-on-one contact with other students from another student is really an enhanced, amazing way to connect with our students and bring them into the environment. They monitor safety in the halls, they help enforce community standards, and they serve as a support for those resident students. We do all sorts of programming within the residence halls and outside our halls. We work on a programming model referred to as SEED, which is social, educational, events, all campus, and diversity. You can see on the screen, there are all sorts of different things, from the Smash Brothers tournament to see who can show their skills, to learning about Southeast Asia, having students come out and help with clean up the campus on Earth Day, not to mention connecting with the athletic department, arts and ideas, and student engagement to bring the students out of the halls and connect with the larger community as we continue to work on their Lewis experience. We have our campus, a thriving campus dining plan, just a little bit of information, options in Charlie's Place, the Flyers Den, the Courtyard, our convenience store, and then Laverne and Dorothy Brown's, the cafe, which is our main food source on campus. And you can see some of the prices of our different meal plans, and all this information is available on our webpage. Community standards is sometimes a scary term, and it's, when we talk about community standards or student conduct, it's getting our students to understand they are now a part of a larger community. And as part of that, we want them to make connections with their classmates, their teammates, people who live on their floor, people they meet in the cafeteria. We want them to talk with their resident assistants and or our residence life coordinator. We have peer ministers who also live in the residence halls, making those connections to find a walking buddy. You know, and overall, for the first time in their lives, they may be part of something bigger than themselves. So we want them to be their brother's keeper a little bit and look out for each other. You know, press the button is something you'll hear later, but it's really about if you see something, say something. Don't just hope that somebody else will be the person to say something. We want to engage our students in that manner. When we talk about accountability and awareness, you know, our standards are to present a clear expectation that the high standards we set here at Lewis University, because we want to have an enriched student experience, and we're really important to us that our students walk away with an understanding of that we expect big things, and that they have rights, and then they have a responsibility to how to continue to keep those standards high. We inform our students, encourage positive choices. You know, when we get into the idea of student conduct, it is not about getting in trouble. And a lot of people think that that's the thing. When we talk about rights and responsibilities, now I'm an old school superhero fan, so I bring up the idea of Spider-Man. And there's a quote that comes from those, that with great power comes great responsibility. And that really is that where our students are at the precipice of this. We have all these rights, you know, things like a right to attend classes, a right to create a space to create and be safe, a right to personal privacy, but with all of those, a right to clean facilities. But with all of those, there's a great responsibility to, take control of your own self, because often that's what we really can control. If you're driving through, to turn your radio down instead of cranking up the bass as you drive through campus that may or may not be bothering someone else who's in a classroom and can hear the building shake. The right to clean facilities also comes with, if you're walking through the building, don't just throw your garbage on the ground, clean up after yourself. The idea that we learned in kindergarten of keep things a little bit nicer than you found them. And so with these rights, that there comes this great responsibility to be able to assist both themselves and others so that these rights can help them thrive. When we talk about specific into student conduct, it's a process where the student engages with the staff member to work together to get them back on the pathway to success. We know that 18 to 21-year-olds are going to make all sorts of decisions, some positive, some negative. And when they make that negative decision, we want to work with them to get them back on the path. If they're walking through the woods and they see the shiny object, they're going to go follow it. And how do we get them back on that pathway? So student conduct is not about punishment. It's about education. It's about working through the problem to help solve the issue. Sometimes there's some consequences that maybe they don't really like, but as long as we have integrity, and morals and accountability and ethics, we will get to the point that even in situations where it's not the greatest sanction that they would like, it's going to help them get back on the path. That's really what our goal is, so that they can continue towards getting a positive educational experience. Here's some information about my office. Again, my name is Tom Burgess, the Director of Residence Life and Student Conduct. If you follow the QR code, that brings us to our webpage, and that's the number for my office located there on the page. One last little thing when considering student conduct, we talk a little bit with our students about the idea of immunity. So when someone is in crisis and they need medical attention, like there's an alcohol or a drug overdose, if our student who may have been involved in the consuming of whatever that is, contacts us, and remain on scene and they cooperate, and what their goal is to help their fellow student, there are no criminal charges or student conduct sanctions in those situations. When you even though maybe a bunch of people made a bad decision, but somebody steps up to make sure that somebody's safe, we support those decisions. And in that, both the police department here on campus and the student conduct office are supportive of that individual and how they got involved, and that there are no charges or sanctions that would result in them reaching out and making the phone call to save a life, because that's what is significantly more important. I want to thank you very much for your time. And if you have any questions, please reach out to my office. Thank you and have a great day.